Yay Media Group.
All right, welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish podcast.
Reporting live from Disneyland.
Not live, since we record the podcast.
Live-ish.
Live-ish. We do this like a day before you hear it usually, so we can keep things fresh for you. But yes, we are at Disney World right now, and our child is sleeping, and the only option we have is to sit on the balcony and do the podcast for you today. We are on YouTube if you want to watch.
You can see the beautiful background that we have going on.
Yeah, we're staying at the Grand Floridian. You can see the Polynesian, you can see the water, the lagoon, and hopefully we can get through a show today before Remy wakes up. We transferred him from his nap and his stroller to a bed just now. This is actually the first day we've napped at the hotel. He has taken a nap, so we'll see how long this lasts because he's been asleep for a bit. But, we wanted to keep things going since we've been talking so much about our move abroad. We've actually had a lot of, activity going on in our personal lives when it comes to moving and where our next place to land is going to be. But we'll get into that in a few episodes from now. But we feel in a sense that we've become sort of experts on moving abroad and I guess not totally. It's funny because Fran, I always tell him that, we want to tackle different topics that you'll ask a lot of questions about. Last week it was more about kind of cost and medical. And this week we thought we'd dive into a little more the logistics because I've had a lot of women especially write me and say, I'm a single mom and things are so expensive in the US, or for whatever reason, I like the culture more, this and that, but they're not from Mexico and they wonder, if they're able to do that. And I think it's super important for us to kind of break down what the logistics of actually moving abroad, in our case, Mexico, because obviously moving across oceans, I think to Europe is a little bit different.
You've been only being hit up by single moms?
Yeah, do you want their info?
No.
What was the hat we saw someone wearing in the park, or the t-shirt? I like hot dads. Fran is so funny. He's such a Disney dad. We're at Disney and he sees a woman that says, I like hot dads. And Fran's like, hey, in front of her, hey, he taps me, watch out. Look at her shirt. And she was like, no. I was like, don't worry.
Just in a wheelchair. But anyhow, she was.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, she was in a wheelchair. She was wearing the hat. That's when Remy was dancing with the Germans.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
And her son was dancing with Remy.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even notice. That's actually so cute. That's funny. But I don't see wheelchairs.
That's good.
I don't see them. I don't see color.
Well, you need to look down.
Yeah, I don't see wheelchairs.
So I think we have become the closest to experts, or we get to know, I don't know if we can call ourselves experts about moving abroad from different countries, especially the US to Mexico.
Well, I just said we're calling ourselves experts.
Yeah.
But now you're saying I don't know if we can call ourselves experts.
Well, we can call someone that have done it.
Fran would be great with improv, if y'all couldn't tell already. Fran would be excellent with improv, following the beat, He would be great with going with the storyline. What? This week we thought what we would do is dive in to the logistics of moving abroad. And it's something that Fran and I have been talking a lot about, especially as we've kind of toyed with the idea of moving different places within Mexico and kind of the challenges that presents, not just because, yes, Fran is Mexican, but it's so funny to me because you will say to me in moments, you go, yeah, we're not Mexican. And I'm going, well, you are, but, in a certain, I guess, sense of when you say that, what you're referring to is the fact that when it comes to the logistics, right, when you refer to yourself as Mexican, it's usually because, you have bank accounts in Mexico, property in Mexico, which you do have bank accounts, but, you have a lot of credit history and these things in Mexico. Not to let that be daunting or anything, but it's been really interesting as we look at different properties. And of course, you're doing real estate in Mexico, what that looks like. But I think more commonly, people just are curious about what is that move actually like. So we're going to break it down into a few parts for you today. We're going to tackle, of course, the obvious of just what do you do with your stuff, or do you take your stuff or not? And what does that look like? And it's interesting because it's definitely been the kind of the number one priority for me. When you listen to the show a lot, you of course hear me talk so much about how much I miss our actual tangible things more than I thought I would. And they're all sitting in storage. And Fran and I lately have been talking about, when it comes to kind of the next place we decide to rent after our lease is up, what that looks like for us. And for me, it's super important to find a place that's more empty, which you're going to find in a lot of the bigger cities in Mexico. You're going to be able to find kind of the regular how you do it in the United States. But I think we should dive in a little bit to, the fact that we decided to, we put all of our stuff in storage. I found a storage unit. It's about $180 a month. Granted, we had a 3-bedroom home that we put in there and quite a bit of stuff.
No. And the stuff that we put in there was like Legos. Like, this is a storage that has no 1 square inch where air could fit.
I'm actually terrified to go open it because y'all remember the video of me shutting it. If you follow me on social media, it was that moment of like, I shut it and I put the lock on it and I thought, I'm at least not coming back here for a year. I just wanted a break, but it's been a really nice perspective. And I highly recommend, if you decide at all to make this move abroad, it's definitely the thing to do is to cut all your stuff in half if possible, put it in storage, and then reassess at the end of that year, what do you really need? Because if you're discussing moving abroad to Europe, Fran and I have looked into a lot of quotes, like what things cost. And I mean, you are looking at a minimum of $15,000 to $20,000 if you want to move a decent amount of furniture overseas to Europe. And I think that becomes that point where a lot of people say, of course, I mean, I would probably be the same. It's not worth it, because even though you love your things, whatever you can fit in suitcases is probably the way to go. And that's the way we did it at first. I think we each had like 2 suitcases and of course 2 cars full of stuff. And that's all we took. And it's been such a nice lesson of, wow, I really don't need as much as I thought I need to be happy and to live. But now that I've had time away from it, I definitely do miss having some furniture. And we've looked at some quotes of moving stuff to Mexico. And to be totally transparent with you, you're really hard pressed to find a moving company that will do this for under $10,000. And I think your better option would probably be to like buy a trailer and take all of your stuff if you really wanted to. Yes, it's safe.
And here you dabble in a couple of things because that's a really good point. If you do buy the trailer, you just have to be ready to follow certain steps.
Right. And Fran's going to talk a little bit about that right now, actually. He's going to address the kind of what you went through with the taxes, right? When you stop at different border checkpoints and kind of what they're looking for. How did that go with your drive over the border?
So first, if you're going to Baja is a free border. So what that means that you don't need to pay taxes you don't have to have a permanent import or partial import on your vehicle. You will have to pay taxes on the assessed value of your goods, which is going to be marginal because they literally go and assess it. But as long as you don't go in a commercial border, they just go and say, hey, this is going to be $200. And it's going to be marginal, as I said. For the move that you're making, it's going to be minimal.
How much did you pay for our things?
So for everything that was inside the cars was somewhere around $200.
Wow.
For both cars. Yeah, for one time.
200 each.
Yes. So if you were to go anywhere besides the Baja, you go and pay, you have to get a temporary import permit for your car.
Right.
So things to consider, you have to have your registration. If you don't have your title in hand, you have to have an insurance. Mexican insurance, I recommend GNP. Has been amazing for us. We had, which the insurance for a Bronco was somewhere around $800 full service for a year, which is great. Mm-hmm. You have to get if you still owe money on your car, you have to get a letter from your lender that it says that it lets the car go for a certain amount of time. So once you have that, you go to the border and you ask for the permit. It takes 20, 30 minutes, or you can do it online before your move. Mm.
And that's something, when we tour with the idea of, moving to mainland Mexico, right? You'll understand kind of Baja is where you would drive, Tijuana, Ensenada, beautiful towns all the way down. There's a lot of different kind of retiree communities, and that would get you all the way to Cabo San Lucas. I mean, you're looking at a 17-hour drive from the border all the way down to Cabo. So it's quite far, but so many beautiful spots along the way. And it's a lot easier to move there. You know, the reason we chose that originally is because it's technically the safest out of all. You know, I mean, any border town has its problems, but it definitely is safe. You know, I still get that question quite a bit. And I know today's not as much about safety, and we'll address that in another episode in more detail. But the only violence that you are ever really hearing about is pretty specific kind of cartel hits and like violence like that. And I'm smiling and laughing about it because as awful as it is and as awful as kind of the drug war has been, you know, it's so specific, right? That, you know, when a lot of people send me messages, I get it all the time. A lot of people, I doubt it's you because I don't think you'd be listening to me. I don't think we're on the same page about that, but you know, a lot of people will write me and they go, aren't you so scared? Like, I won't even go on vacation in Mexico because I'm so scared of the violence. And I just think that I wish so much that I could kind of ease people's fears about that because sure, everywhere's dangerous, right? Like everywhere in the world has its moments of danger, but really theft is like the only thing when I've spoken to people, even in Mexico City, that they're concerned about is like, just don't leave. You know, they give you those nice purse racks to hang your purses when you sit outside and eat because you want to sit outside and eat. And they say, just keep the purse rack, you know, on the inside of you because you'll go to pay your bill and people are so smooth, you don't have it. I go, so that's the thing you're most scared about? They're like, yeah, I mean, I don't walk home alone at night, but I wouldn't walk home alone at night in Dallas either. So, you know, digressing a bit from the logistics, I just always like to assure everyone that I don't feel unsafe whatsoever. Which is a really nice place to be because there's just not as much like random acts of violence as we've had in the United States. But anyway, so we didn't have to have the permitting for the cars there. But obviously, you know, the visas, you know, Francisco can stay in Mexico as long as he wants because he has dual residency in both Mexico and the United States. And a lot of people have asked me if I have my temporary residency or through marriage or how I could go about acquiring residency. And frankly, it's just not a process that I have felt like wanting to embark upon quite yet. I think a temporary residency is usually what comes first. Like if you and your family were looking to buy a home there, you could pretty easily within a few months acquire a temporary residency for a certain period of time. Just by, you know, government office kind of work. And then, of course, the permanent residency is a little more difficult to achieve. When it comes to buying property, obviously, Francisco can address all of your questions when it comes to that sort of thing. I only like to speak to my own experience and what I know. I think, you know, Remy is kind of the priority for us. He is much more easily able to get his residency in Mexico because of Francisco.
He's in transition to get his his Mexican citizenship. But yes, so I always suggest just go with your visa,
right?
Test it out as we're doing it. And then if you like it, go through the motions of getting your temporary visa, your working visa or your temporary residency and see how is it, how do you like it? But test the waters first.
And I want to add to this that the only real reason you would have to get this residency out of the gate is if you don't intend on coming back to the United States at all for a very long time. Of course, that is a different exploration when you move somewhere like Europe and you're permanently moving your family and you probably won't frequently visit the US, but you have the 180-day rule, right? And so for Francisco, or, you know, Francisco, again, it doesn't apply, but for myself, for my mother, for Remy, you know, this was actually a great Disney trip for us because we are about to hit that 180-day threshold in November for Remy. And so you really do need to get that passport stamped every 180 days. But the nature of that is that you could truly just fly from Mexico, or I believe a lot of South American countries are this way. Costa Rica is similar, and I know that's a great destination for people to move. You have 180 days to leave the United States before you really need to come back. You could get it stamped, you could spend the night, and you could turn around and go back again. I, of course, am going back every 6 to 8 weeks, so it hasn't been a problem for me.
The worst thing is you're facing a fine if you don't do it.
Yeah, so worst case scenario, you know, we've all kind of reviewed this as a family since my mom hasn't been back yet. She is planning a trip back. However, if she weren't to go, I have done some research and asked some people, if you abuse this policy, let's say, right, and you come back into America and you've been gone for like 2 years, yeah, they're going to stop you at customs. They're going to pull you into one of those rooms. They're going to ask you a lot of questions about where you've been, about where you've been getting money, how you've been living, have you been paying your taxes, on and on. Obviously, you know, because the rule is 180 days. you might end up having an issue trying to leave again, or you might just get a slap on the hand and pay a fine. And so, that's not something. I'm a rule follower, okay, if y'all haven't learned this by now. I'm a rule follower. Francisco's not, but yeah, you have 180 days. But we're going to take a quick break and then jump back into a few other interesting facets about the logistics of moving abroad as we drink red wine from the beautiful Grand Floridian Disney Resort.
At a beautiful 100 degrees.
In 100 degrees before our child wakes up. We'll be right back. This podcast is sponsored by Marley Spoon, and Marley Spoon knows bland foods are boring. And I have to say, that's always been one of my bigger issues with meal prep kits that I've ever tried in the past. It's like I want to eat healthy, right? I mean, we all want to eat healthy or healthy-ish, whatever it is, as much as we're able to. But healthy food, at least either when I cook it or I've tried it from these other prep services, it's always so like bland and boring. And something so great about Marley Spoon is they've just really nailed the ingredient factor when it comes to that. You love cooking even more than I do, but I think it's so convenient to just have the ingredients and a recipe card like ready to go.
And feel like a home cooked meal, not that taste of burn freeze.
I think that's the thing for Fran and I is freeze, burn, freeze. It's fine. We like to travel a lot as a family, of course. We like to kind of be all over the place, but there is something that you just crave so much more frequently about a home cooked meal. And it's so nice just to be able to have this kind of meal prep service ready to go. And something else that's a really nice advantage, especially for you moms out there about Marley Spoon, is that you can a la carte add on grocery items, a lot of essentials that you need, things that you need for cooking or just for things around the house. Oh, it's like, finally, yes, because I need groceries and in addition to some of the recipes, right? Especially for snack foods and healthier options for the kids and things like that. Experience the most personalized meal kit today with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Fitish and use the code Fitish for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. Again, that's marleyspoon.com/offer/Fitish for up to 25 free meals. And make sure you always use that promo code Fitish so they know that I sent you. Ritual is a sponsor of the Fitish podcast. For a while now, I'm actually always proud to say that I was a Ritual customer long before they ever decided to sponsor the podcast. And it's a product that I've always believed in. And I started with the Women's Daily Multivitamin. But now I've become so much more focused on my gut health. And I'm sure you can't go a day without hearing someone say, your gut biome or a probiotic or a prebiotic, all of these products that have been on the market. But Ritual's just been the thing I always go back to. I've always trusted them because there's so much transparency with what's in their product. And frankly, for me, I think they just taste better than every other supplement I've ever tried because they all have this nice natural coating. Whether it's lemon or peppermint and anything I take and trust, by the way, that I've taken when I was pregnant, I know I can recommend to y'all. And that's Ritual for me. Ritual, something else that's very interesting, by the way, about, they have their Symbiotic Plus, which is this 3-in-1, prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic, which I didn't even know existed. I still don't honestly understand the whole science of all of it. But every time I read about our gut health, I'm always shocked to know that, your gut health, Fran, can actually really negatively or positively impact your mental health.
Yeah, no, they said that is your second brain.
Not just because you're mad that you're constipated, but it really does change everything.
It's analysis that it's a lot of your decision making comes from your gut, and it's not about that gut feeling. It's actually part of your brain.
Oh, you're so right. That's such a good point. Yeah. It also can attribute a lot to your immune system and, of course, digestion. So if you've been looking for any sort of support when it comes to that, and you've been interested in taking a probiotic of sorts, you have to add Symbiotic Plus to your Ritual subscription today. It's so easy to get started on this, and I absolutely love it. Again, this is a 3-in-1 prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic, and it features 2 of the world's most clinically studied probiotic strains to support gut and digestive health. Get your gut going, support a balanced gut microbiome with Ritual Symbiotic Plus. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/Fitish. That's 25% off at ritual.com/Fitish. Welcome back to the show. We're going to wrap things up about logistics in just a moment and fill you in on our Disney trip for those of you that have listened to us for a while.
If there's something we don't touch, like buying property in Mexico, has a lot of things that would need to talk about, like if it's near the coast, if it's inland, if it's here and there. But
if Francisco's going to do specific niche content on it, as he has promised us, it's only been 5.5 months, and I know a lot of you are keeping track.
Is this content?
I know, but I feel like I have, so many women rooting for you to make content because that you said that you were going to.
What type of content? I just want to, like, I'm making it. I'm planning it. There's no need to remind me every 6 months about it, It's going to happen.
That's on you, boo. That's on you. At some point, that's on you. Your potential income, your quality content output, right? You know what? My mom actually, I want to wrap things up by talking about work a little bit because my mom actually asked me the other day and said, you know what? I should get a job. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. You should not. You cannot. I mean, sure, you could. Yes, there are illegal.
Those illegal Americans.
There are illegal Americans working in Mexico. And I know it sounds crazy and it's kind of funny and I'm smiling as I say it, but it's absolutely true. There are boutiques, there are places that there are Americans working. They're definitely probably getting paid in pesos.
We're going to send them ice.
And they don't have a working visa, but it does exist in reverse both ways. They're taking the Mexicans' jobs, and I'm not okay with it. I told my mom it is absolutely not okay to come into their country and take their jobs.
If you're qualified for a job, take it if they give it to you.
But that being said, you can get a working visa. I haven't had to worry about that because I am technically working remotely. So, that's not something I've had to dive into quite yet. But, there are options. Obviously, I know people that live in Mexico that work, for US-based companies, which is a great gig. One of our friends just moved to Mexico City and she's actually contracted. And that's the way a lot of these companies will hire you is if you have kind of a US-based LLC, you can be a contract employee at certain businesses. And I mean, that's a great option. I've actually had my mom looking into more remote work online. She should do like a helpline, a call line or something, Just give her something to do.
Like a helpline, like what type of help?
You
Mental?
can do like Amazon. You can write reviews.
Oh, yeah, like customer service. Yeah.
She can do lots of stuff.
Just files,
I mean, I don't
fill
know if
surveys.
Kenny's capable of like a suicide hotline. That's like pretty heavy stuff.
Oh, yes, I think she could. She's very empathic like that. It's like, hey.
I think it takes some training, When I told her to do, some sort of remote job, she's like a call service. She's like, what do you mean? Like a suicide helpline? And I'm like, I don't know.
No, like hotline.
Like a hotline.
What are you wearing, Candy?
A hotline.
Is your full name Candace?
But changing gears a little bit, we have just had the loveliest 3 days in Walt Disney World. And I did some stories on my social earlier today. This is our first trip back to the U.S. as a family, actually, since we left.
Yeah.
Dallas.
We both have been here.
Yeah. Not with Remy. I will say it is definitely always nice to be back in the United States. I appreciate the United States more. Really mainly that 5G, that 5G,
5G plus.
That 5G hits real nice, like you're always like, wow, I have service all the time. I can upload this podcast really quickly.
When you go to Mexico, and this is something to be aware. And if you have, what is that?
It was a bird.
Crocodile? No. Okay. So, well, not part of the show.
We're on the fourth floor.
Okay, but babe, have you seen the crocodiles around here?
You hear the fluttering?
Babe. So, what was I saying? I lost, but it rattled me. Oh, the 5G. So, there's this thing called, when you bring your phone to the Mexico.
When you bring your phone to the Mexico?
Yeah, when you bring your American phone to Mexico, it works amazing and everything. But you're just piggybacking in like Mexico AT&T, Telcel, Movistar, or whatever is up right now. But you are like the least of the priorities.
It's like Attack of the Birds.
So you're going to get the cheapest internet service. So if you go to Mexico and you want amazing cell phone signal, get a Mexican phone. Just saying.
You know what? This is a great tip. Thank you, boop, boop, for telling me this 6 months into my move to Mexico. This is the first you're telling me I need to get a Mexico phone number.
I told you that the first day, boopy.
No, I have two phones. I'm using one where I have two phones, and I don't even have a Mexican phone number on one. That is something I'm planning on doing, which ties back into logistics. But I jumped on social media this morning because I have had such a let's talk about expectation setting. And as a mom, expectation setting, it quickly gets, your expectations often get kind of destroyed, whether it's friendships, your relationship. There are so many things that just change so much when you have a baby. And I think a Disney trip, and I've always known this from all the years I did a working trip here with the radio show, it is so fucking expensive to come to Disney, no matter which way you slice it. You could get an Airbnb, you could pack all your food, but you are still, it's unavoidable.
By 9 p.m., you're already like $500.
You're going to get hosed. Your kid wants stuff. And I think it's just knowing that going in to not be as stressed about money. It's just really setting aside how you want to budget for it. Because obviously, especially the hotel, the hotel transportation flight, and then eating at the parks becomes such a large expense. All of that being said, I knew that going in. I've had some time to digest it. Fran and I talked about this. He was a real big proponent on bringing Remy to Disney at this young of an age. And all these years I told myself as we were trying to conceive, I'm like, I'm not doing Disney until my child's at least 5 or 6 and he can remember it. And, and they can enjoy it and they can go no nap and they have more stamina and we get more bang for our buck. And I don't know what came over me. I'm a softie also, but we were really kind of contemplating a family vacation, a way to get Remy back to the States to get the passport stamped. And we were like, let's do Disney. This is a good time of year. They have Mickey's Halloween going on. And I just want to let y'all know, I have zero regrets about this trip. I mean, it kind of, we haven't even talked about this, but it's your toddler's going to toddler, right? Your toddler's going to have temper tantrums. Your toddler's going to have a sugar meltdown, no matter where you go on vacation, right? But we have done 2 other family vacations, I would say, though I like to admit that I do feel like our life has become more of a vacation in the sense that we live somewhere nice, so we don't, need to spend money to travel a lot of places, living by the beach, and that's been a nice adjustment. However, he cries when we were in Mexico. And, you took me to Mexico the last 2 years for my birthday, and we stayed at a nice hotel, and
he cries?
We all know, your toddler and your child is still, you're just parenting from a prettier location. This has been so different though, honestly. Apologies for the Disney boat cruises in the back. He's had a few meltdowns. He's come through them. He's going to melt down anywhere is more the point. But the kind of level of joy that we've seen on our child's face, I've cried a little bit almost every day. It's just been so wonderful. I will say the highlights for us, if you are thinking with a toddler, if you have a young baby, unless you're bringing other kids with you and that's why the baby's going, obviously don't do it. But I think this 2.5 years old, and a lot of you have written me and said you have a 3-year-old and you're coming and you are kind of on the fence about it. It's been great. However, I believe that the things we thought he would love, he didn't love. Things we're surprised that he loved. Mainly, characters with big heads on, it took him a few days. He met Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Pluto today. He seemed to enjoy it. But he much more enjoys the more real characters, the princesses, the princes, that sort of thing, right? They have makeup. They don't have big heads. They feel more real to him and not as scary. He was pretty terrified of even the smallest rides, the Frozen ride. A lot of you thought I took him on Tower of Terror, and you were like, why did you torment him like that? We did not take him on Tower of Terror. He's not tall enough. It was the Frozen ride, which is for all ages. It was a
terrified situation that it was like a bittersweet because he kind of liked it, and then he kind of was scared, and then he kind of liked it. So if you ask me, this is one of those pleasures in life that you could skip with no issues. You could skip, you can say I didn't bring my kid when he was 2.5.
You would be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yes.
But if you have some extra money to spend and you want to spend it here, you will not regret it.
Question, who has extra money in this economy?
If you can buy...
I don't think many people have extra money, I think it's more about allocating hard-earned money, right? For us of being this brings us a lot of fulfillment and joy, and that's the point, right? I was pretty certain,
that we were what I mean with here, extra money,
and he was going to get here and go, in every moment in the park, and we were going to be like, oh my gosh, we spent so much money, and I know you can't do that, you just kind of have to swallow it, and it is what it is. But I have to tell you, this has just been such a joy. I mean, we've gained 10 pounds. We've been eating. Fran and I go to sleep
jointly
with him. No, each individually. No, we go to sleep with him every night. Like I have passed out at, I don't know. I mean, he's gone to bed a little later, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. We haven't even really made it to the fireworks. And Fran wakes up with Remy's. He's sleeping in a queen bed with Remy with his like feet on his face. And I've been in my own queen bed, like, night, y'all. But we've been sleeping good. We've been eating good. We've had a lot of fun. It's really fucking hot. It's really fucking hot. It's September in Florida, it is what it is. But even despite that, I mean, I definitely think Remy and Fran have been a little cranky because of the heat. But I would say that's kind of been the only downside,
that we've been cranky.
The Disney app, the Disney app has been really awesome. Disney's been great. It's been such a nice perspective. They have everything covered. The babysitters, if you need to go nurse and get away, they obviously super support family here. And it's so nice to be at a place in the United States that's actually really welcoming to families. And we've spent some time at the hotel pool, which I think is so underrated. I think a lot of families who have done this before are definitely ahead of us on this since we're kind
You
of
see the
rookies.
pros in the pool.
They're like, oh no, we do a half day in the park and then spend the rest of the day at the pool. And so we did that. Yesterday we brought him to the pool, but we've been going hard in the park. So today he's napping right now, probably about to wake up. We're actually going to spend our last evening in the pool. And, there's alcohol. There's alcohol. I had some funny moments our first day because we had a long day and Fran and I like wanted to have a drink, and you see like some parents drinking, but I don't know. It's so funny because Magic Kingdom's a dry park and so they don't have alcohol. And then Epcot obviously is the best. So we've really been enjoying that, by the way. For those of you with young enough children, I think Epcot's a great option because they have Ratatouille, they have the Frozen ride. They also just have a lot of like musical experiences for your child to check out. Remy's a real fan of shows, which is great for us. He seems to like the shows and it gives him a chance. And they have playgrounds at Epcot as well. And that's such a great thing to let your young toddler run around and get their energy out, because when they're in a stroller or being carried all day, which is something I didn't anticipate how much he would want to be carried, even though he has a perfectly good carrying device on wheels. He wants us to carry him the whole way through the park. I think Francisco and I the other day, we did over 20,000 steps. Our day wasn't even done. And Fran realized that either one of us had been, more Fran than me, obviously, because Remy's too heavy for me to carry for like a long time. We've been carrying him all day. So it's quite a workout, And we ruin it by eating all the trash and junk.
It's kind of fitness. It's our fitness retreat. But I think it's worth it if you can carve money from under the mattress or whatever, if there's no extra, whatever, do it, because those smiles are priceless.
He's been really happy. I mean, even simple things in the hotel room, they have all the Disney songs on in the room, and it's been really special. We bought a lot of junk. And I always swore, I was like, I'm not gonna like buy him shit every day. And I'm like, I'm gonna buy you shit every day. And then he's gonna throw it on the ground when it doesn't work anymore, and you're like, that was $40.
He has done it.
It was $40. Why do you want a giant pirate sword?
Focus on the parks for sure. I think staying in a property in the park, it's a great experience, but that's not a must. Focus on the park experience. Don't you think?
Yeah. Great tip.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, if you want to do it with a lower budget, if you want to do something that it could be priceless, there's no need to.
Yeah, we toyed with the idea of an Airbnb, but I just made the decision to just like suck it up and stay at a property that had a monorail to Magic Kingdom. But there's so many great Disney hotels and everyone's just been so nice. So anyway, if you have a trip planned or you've been on the fence about it, you're going to have your moments, you're going to have your days, you're going to have your time, but I would never in a million years tell you I think it's a waste of money to do it if you're feeling like bringing the family and you worry your kids are too young. I would just say the heat and watching women with little babies kind of just have to sit in the shade in baby rooms. I just wouldn't bring a small baby if you can avoid it. It definitely would be better for toddler age and above, for sure. But what a joy this has been for us, for the most part. Check out our crumble cookie review. I wanted to do a mukbang with Fran. And so we have that review I posted on TikTok. I don't know if it's like Instagram appropriate, but I've been wanting to do one of those like crumble videos. Well, they don't have insomnia here, but a crumble video where people just like eat all the new. I've had so much to eat. Like any amount of weight that I have happened to lose, I think it's like fully come back on my body. And I said that to Fran. He goes, but it looks good on you. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
It does look good on you. Sorry, we heard a huge bang.
Is he on the bed? Is he still asleep? We have a little bit of a PTSD over him falling. He's still asleep.
Yeah.
Should we wake him up soon?
Soon.
Well, we're going to head to the pool at Disney. Thanks for checking this out this week. We'll be back. Where are we going? That's what's so hard for me. It's like, I don't even know.
So we're splitting ways from now. She's going to Dallas. I'm going back to Mexico City. And then
I have some work in Dallas. We have some new products coming out. So I'm headed to Dallas for a while. TBD on how long. I haven't decided if I need to go to storage.
Something that has tested the elements has been the sunblock. That thing has worked amazing in all the family.
Sunscreen. We have it back in stock. Yeah. Thanks for that, Fran. Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely. The sunscreen's been nice. So yeah, I have a photo shoot. I have my friend Sabrina. I always call her like my glamorous fashion friend. She has a birthday dinner on Saturday night, which you were invited to, and I thought we were all coming to Dallas together. Sadly, we're not. We should take an Uber to Home Depot tonight. Do you want to
figure that out.
Do you want to take an Uber to Home Depot tonight since we're in the States?
Yeah, let's check. Let me check my schedule.
I bet there's one close, and Remy would love it for the Halloween goods.
Let's figure out. Let's double into the research.
Do you hear what he's doing? Y'all, ladies, y'all know that tone too well. That's why I wanted him to go back to Dallas originally. But anyway, I've gone on for too long about my needs. My needs and Halloween.
We'll take care of them.
Well, I'll see you across the border at some point here.
See you on the other side of the Rio Bravo.
Yeah. All right. Bye. See y'all next week.